Where's my money? Thief, bleeding your husband dry. Smack! The deafening sound of the slap ripped through the air of the parking garage, echoing among the concrete pillars, and Maria's head snapped to the side. All because of $20,000 she'd handed her mother for her 70th birthday. The envelope falling to the concrete floor, her crying mother, and her husband, turning away at the worst possible moment. That night, Maria didn't say a word. Instead, she opened her banking app, checked her account balances, and pressed a single button. By dawn, missed calls began piling up on her mother-in-law's and husband's phones. 99 missed calls. Before we begin, please subscribe to the channel and give this video a like. Let's start. Goodness, Linda, eat up. You're picking at your food like you've never been to a nice restaurant before. Susan's voice, Maria's mother-in-law, sliced through the air of the VIP dining room at the Gilded Spoon restaurant amidst the sharp clinking of forks and knives. It's all thanks to my son, my dear Paul. He works his fingers to the bone for this, so eat heartily, don't be shy. You look like you just stepped off a farm. The corners of Susan's lips were smeared with red sauce, and on her finger glittered a 2-4-carat solid gold ring that Maria had paid for last month. Her mother, Linda, sitting opposite, flinched. Yes, Susan, it's just, the dishes are so expensive, it almost feels wrong to eat them. Linda bowed her head like a scolded schoolgirl. She was the guest of honor, celebrating her 70th birthday. But Susan sat at the head of the table. Before Linda lay only a plate of long-cooled soup, while Susan's plate was piled high with lobster shells, priced at $150 a serving. Maria clenched her fists under the table, her nails digging into her palms, the pain helping her to suppress the rising anger. Trying to speak calmly, she said, "Mom, today is my mother's birthday. She's the guest of honor. Please, be more polite." "Oh, what did I say? You yourself suggested a simple family dinner because you don't have the money for a lavish birthday celebration. You should be thanking my Polly for being so generous. Who pays for their mother-in-law's anniversary nowadays?" Susan poked her fork in the air and clicked her tongue. Her husband, Paul, sitting next to her, lazily swirling a glass of wine, chimed in, "Mom, stop it. You'll ruin Mom Linda's appetite. Linda, don't worry, eat. I just got my bonus this month, so this is pocket change for me." Paul smugly adjusted his tie. Maria narrowed her eyes. A $2,000 bonus, and dinner at this elite restaurant was $180 per person. 6 people, plus the wine bill, would easily exceed $15,000. Paul's meager bonus wouldn't even cover a couple of bottles of wine, but he, as always, was sure Maria would pay for everything, either from her savings or on an installment plan with her credit card. After all, she had always done so for the past 12 years. This wine is a bit tart," Sarah, Paul's sister, grimaced. "That Petrus you bought last time, brother, was much better." A 38-year-old unemployed freeloader, living off her brother, or rather, off his wife. Even the tweed jacket she was wearing, she had secretly taken from Maria's closet. "Eat what's served," Maria almost blurted out. She struggled to restrain herself and took a large gulp of water to extinguish the fire inside. Linda, seeing her daughter's distress, cut a tiny piece of steak and put it in her mouth. She chewed the tough meat, unable to swallow, and the sight of her mother's suffering pained Maria's heart. What a fool I am. I should have just gone on a trip with Mom. 12 years of marriage. An annual income of $1.5 million plus bonuses. The youngest vice president at a major international pharmaceutical company. That was who Maria truly was. But to her husband's family, she was just an ungrateful homemaker, living a lavish life thanks to her husband, who worked at a small but stable company. "Hey, waiter," Susan shouted. "Could you pack up the leftovers for us? And could you fry some fresh battered shrimp and wrap those up too? My little dog, Princess, just adores them." Linda's birthday cake hadn't even been brought out yet, and Susan was already preparing to go home. "Mom, it's not polite to take leftovers from a restaurant, and certainly not to order food for a dog. This is a dinner in honor of my mother's birthday," Maria finally snapped. Susan's eyes narrowed like a snake's. "Oh, you begrudge food for your mother-in-law's dog. What makes my princess worse than your mother? Princess, by the way, is purebred, with a pedigree." You're crossing all lines. I'm crossing lines. We pulled you out of obscurity, made something of you, and you show your teeth at the slightest thing. Polly, how do you raise your wife? The atmosphere instantly became charged. Paul coughed and painfully pinched Maria's thigh. What are you doing on a day like this? You know, Mom just loves animals. Mom, I'm sorry. I'll buy you the best beef tenderloin at home. Don't be angry. Paul rushed to appease his mother, not his wife. Linda, with a trembling hand, grabbed Maria's sleeve. Maria, it's fine. I'm already full. Let them take it, darling. Tears welled in her mother's eyes. That look pleaded, please, don't argue, because of me. Maria bit her lip until she tasted blood. Fine, I'll go pay the bill. She rose from the table, as if fleeing. Sarah's muttered words followed her, always ruining everyone's appetite. Upstart. At the cashier, Maria pulled out a heavy metal black card from the deepest compartment of her wallet, a premium card for VIP clients, whose annual fee cost several $1,000s. She had never used it in front of her husband's family, but today, only this card had a sufficient limit. Maria covered the bank's logo with her palm and handed the card to the cashier. One payment. You can discard the receipt. After paying the bill, Maria headed to the parking garage. The underground parking met her with its cool air. Paul and his family, having called a cab, lingered, allegedly going to the restroom. Linda stood alone by a pillar, waiting for her daughter. Mom? Linda forced a smile. Oh, darling, you spent so much money. Susan just has a difficult personality. It's hard for you with her. Mom, why are you silent, as if you're to blame for something? When she was spewing nonsense about her purebred dog, why did you just listen? What will change if I argue? It will only make things worse for you. I'm fine, daughter. Thank you for dinner. Linda smoothed her daughter's disheveled hair. Her calloused fingers touched Maria's cheek. A lump rose in Maria's throat, and swallowing her tears, she took an envelope from her purse. Here, take this. What is it? Pocket money, $20,000. I'm sorry I can't give more. Go to the department store, buy yourself some new clothes, eat something delicious. Just please, don't skimp on yourself. Linda waved her hands. Oh no, daughter. What will your husband think? Keep it for yourself. Mom, please don't upset me even more. Just take it. Maria tried to force the envelope into her mother's coat pocket, when suddenly, what's this trickery? The voice seemed to come from the depths of hell. A chill ran down Maria's spine. Turning around, she saw Susan emerging from behind a pillar. Her eyes gleamed with the hungry glint of a hyena. Maria, I knew you were up to something behind my back. Is that an envelope with money? Susan strode over and roughly snatched the envelope Maria had almost tucked into her mother's pocket. Stop, Susan! Linda cried out, but Susan didn't even turn around. She tore open the envelope. A wad of crisp $100 bills revealed itself in all its glory. Susan's jaw dropped, but then her face contorted into a grimace of contempt. Ha! $20,000. Are you insane? Susan shook the wad of money right in front of Maria's nose. My Polly counts every penny. He's afraid to buy himself an extra pair of underwear. And you're pulling stunts like this behind his back, bleeding your husband dry to hand out money to your family. A thief. Be careful what you say, Mom. Those are my money, Maria retorted with a trembling voice. But for Susan, that was like pouring gasoline on a fire. Your money? Where are your money? You sit at home, making casseroles. Where would you get money? My son earned all this with his blood and sweat, and you're siphoning it off the family budget. I said, I earned it, and in 12 years, I haven't been able to properly celebrate my mother's birthday once. A daughter-in-law doesn't have the right to give her mother some money? You're talking back too. At that moment, Paul and Sarah appeared. Susan, seeing them, screamed even louder as if putting on a show. Polly, come here, look, what your little wife is doing. The money you earn with the sweat of your brow. She's giving it to her mother. $20,000. What? Paul ran up. Susan, waiting for her son, pointed her finger at Maria and wailed, Where are her money? All this is my son's money. Thief, bleeding her husband dry. Smack. A deafening sound of a slap ripped through the air. Maria's head snapped sharply to the side. She tasted blood in her mouth. She had bitten the inside of her cheek. Her face burned. From the powerful blow, reality blurred, and only a dull ringing filled her ears. "Maria!" Linda cried, hugging her daughter. "What are you doing, Susan? How dare you hit her? Get away, you old hag!" Susan, still enraged, pushed Linda away. Maria's mother slumped helplessly to the ground. A torrent of abuse from Susan rained down on her. "What did you two start? This is an embarrassment." It was Paul. Not only did he not help his mother-in-law up, but he clutched his head, exclaiming irritably, "Why do you make Mom angry on a day like this? You could have given her the money discreetly, or at least not such a huge amount. $20,000 is no joke. That's almost my entire bonus." Maria slowly lifted her head. Her swollen left cheek throbbed, but she felt little pain. Instead, she felt her mind turn to ice, as if a bucket of freezing water had been poured into a glowing hot furnace. She looked at her mother's old purse lying on the floor, then at the $20,000 in Susan's hands, money earned by her blood and sweat, and finally, at the pathetic face of her husband, Paul, who was looking at her with reproach. "Ah, so that's how it is." Maria wiped the blood from her lips with the back of her hand. 12 years she had endured, to save her husband's reputation, to preserve their family, to be a good daughter-in-law, and all of it had just been thrown into the trash. "Paul." Maria's voice was frighteningly calm. "You just said I was to blame. Who else? You know, Mom's temper." "Understood." Maria didn't argue further. She helped her mother off the floor. In her eyes, her husband's family had ceased to be people, transforming into a problem that needed to be eliminated. "Mom, let's go. I'll drive you home." "Hey, where are you going? Get back here and beg for forgiveness on your knees." Susan's scream followed her. "Maria, if you leave now, it's over. You can never come back home," Paul cried in a panic. Maria, already opening the car door, paused. Without turning around, she gave a cold chuckle. "Don't worry, even if you beg, I won't come back." The car roared out of the parking garage. An hour later, after driving her mother home and calming her down, Maria got back into her car. The interior was silent. She looked at her reflection in the rearview mirror. A swollen cheek, a bruised lip. She took out her phone from her purse. No doubts. "Hello, Thompson. Are you awake?" "No. Still at the office." "What's wrong? What's with your voice?" Maria, her eyes glinting in the dark, replied, "Prepare the documents, a divorce petition, and a statement for assault and battery charges." "What? Oh, and one more thing." The corners of Maria's lips curled into a cold smile. "Financial retribution, the harshest kind. I'll cut off their oxygen." "You're in shock too, aren't you? To call a daughter-in-law a thief for giving her mother $20,000 of her own money, and then to hit her in front of her own mother? That's beyond the pale. But don't worry. You saw how Maria's eyes changed. The real story is just beginning. How will Maria punish this dysfunctional family? The most interesting part is about to start. A 5-star hotel in the center of Los Angeles. A luxury suite with a panoramic view of the night city. Streetlights pierced through the thick curtains, illuminating Maria's cold silhouette. She sank deep into a 2-seater sofa by the window. An ice pack, which she had asked the hotel staff for, was pressed against her left cheek. The throbbing pain didn't subside, but it was precisely this pain that sharpened her mind like a razor. Sigh. Maria exhaled deeply and opened her laptop on the coffee table. The blue light of the screen became the only source of illumination in the dark room, reflecting in her eyes. Her fingers glided across the touchpad. No hesitation. First, she logged into the main family bank account's application, the account name, "For the support of my beloved husband." A bitter smile appeared on Maria's lips. She had come up with that name 12 years ago, at the very beginning of their married life. Now, it made her sick. Balance. $12. The money she had transferred for expenses this month. Money that Paul spent as he pleased, and his mother Susan took from as if it were her own pocket. For support? Hell no. Maria unhesitatingly pressed the Transfer All button. Recipient: Maria V. After entering the confirmation code, she saw the message, "Transfer completed. Balance $0." But that was just the beginning. Maria immediately went to the password change section. This was the second layer of protection, to prevent Paul from withdrawing money if it suddenly came into the account, or to stop auto payments from going through. Password successfully changed. Next, the credit organization's app, Paul K. Additional card, spouse. Susan I. Additional card, spouse's mother. Limit $500. Premium cards that she had only been able to get thanks to her impeccable credit history. The very cards Susan boasted about to her friends, calling it a gift from her thoughtful daughter-in-law. Maria pressed the block card button. A window popped up with reasons. Lost. Stolen. Damaged. Maria's finger paused on the word stolen. They had stolen her life, her youth, her dignity, and her mother's dignity. So this was the purest form of theft. Request accepted. Cards will be immediately blocked. Now, let's begin. Maria took a sip of wine. The red liquid burned her throat, and all her senses seemed to sharpen. She opened an Excel file containing a list of all auto payments and began to cross them out one by one with a red line. Utility payments for Susan's apartment, $15. Susan's medical insurance, $12. Sarah's cell phone bill, $8. Cooler rental, internet, and even the subscription to the premium TV channel Susan loved so much. Dozens of financial parasites that had been sucking Maria's blood for 12 years were cut off in just half an hour. The laptop screen was riddled with messages. Service disconnected. Action suspended. Request accepted. Maria leaned back on the sofa and closed her eyes. Silence, peace reigned in her world, and tomorrow morning, chaos would begin in theirs. Well, let's see you try to buy something now. Let's see if you can. The next day, 10 a.m., the condo where Maria and Paul nominally lived, but where his family entered as if it were their own, resembled a pigsty. "I'm starving. I'm dying of hunger." Paul, scratching his disheveled head, emerged from the bedroom. On the table lay chicken bones from yesterday and empty beer cans. Usually, by this time, Maria would have tidied everything up and prepared breakfast. "Ugh, my head is splitting too. And she still hasn't come back," Susan grumbled, getting up from the couch. Without even washing her face, she peeked into the kitchen. The slow cooker was empty. "Isn't that just audacious? Your mother-in-law is hungry, and she hasn't even made breakfast. Completely useless." Susan slammed open the refrigerator. Rummaging through containers, she pulled out a piece of cheese and began to chew it ravenously. "Polly, did you call her? Where is she?" "I don't know, Mom. She's not picking up. Probably blocked me." Paul irritably threw his phone onto the table. "Blocked? She's completely lost it. Where could she go anyway? Besides her mother's tiny studio apartment, she has nowhere. A couple of days without food, her money will run out, and she'll crawl back begging for forgiveness on her knees." Susan snorted and gulped down a glass of water. "Mom, those $20,000. Were they really Maria's money?" Paul cautiously asked. Susan's eyes flashed. "What, her money? That's money you earned. Where would a woman who sits at home get money? She stole all that from your salary." "I told you, she's a thief." "Well, actually, my salary, you know." "Shut up. Why are you whining like a baby?" "Ugh, I'm hungry. Polly, I have a meeting with my book club friends today. I boasted to them that I'm treating them to lunch, and I'm leaving home hungry." Susan picked up Maria's additional card from the table. She had taken it out of Maria's wallet, which Maria had left yesterday. "The limit on this one is huge, right?" "Yes, it should be. Maria has a good credit rating." "Excellent. I'll indulge myself today. I'll order the most expensive thing. Let the SMS messages about the charges come to her. Let her fume." Susan, with a vengeful smile, put the card in her purse. She imagined her daughter-in-law biting her nails as she received SMS notifications of the charges. And in the evening, she would crawl back on her knees, begging, "Mommy, I was wrong." She didn't know yet how cruelly mistaken she was. 12:30 p.m. The elite American cuisine restaurant The Gilded Spoon in downtown LA. Susan ordered the most expensive Baron's feast, set $700 per person. 5 people. $3,500. Oh, Susan, what a generous daughter-in-law you have, her friends said with slight envy. You can say that again, Susan proudly replied. Look at this card my son gave me. Unlimited. Eat, drink. I'm paying for everything. Waiter, 2 more servings of steak tartare and some caviar. An hour later, it was time to pay. Susan, picking her teeth with a toothpick, sauntered to the cashier. We had a wonderful time, ladies. She took Maria's gold card from her wallet and handed it to the administrator. Transaction declined. The terminal emitted an unpleasant beep. The administrator swiped the card again. Beep, beep. Card reported as stolen. Transaction impossible. The administrator's expression turned icy. I apologize, but this card is listed as stolen. The transaction cannot be completed. Stolen? What stolen? Susan shrieked. What nonsense. The card is perfectly fine. The terminal must be broken. Madam, the problem is not with the terminal, but with the bank blocking the card. And if it is indeed stolen, we are obligated by policy to call the police. The police? Are you crazy? Do I look like a thief? Susan frantically grabbed her phone. Behind her, her friends had already started whispering. I need to call Polly. My son will fix everything. At the same time, a self-service gas station on the highway. Paul, inserting the nozzle into the tank of his Toyota Camry, whistled a tune. Fill it up. The amount was around $80. The pump clicked. Refueling was complete. Paul waited for the receipt, but instead, the machine issued a slip. Transaction declined. Card reported as stolen. What? Paul rubbed his eyes and looked at the screen again. It was the additional card in his name. He took out another. Same result. Stolen. A cold sweat ran down Paul's spine. Could it be Maria? Hey, buddy, you got a problem there? There's a line forming. A gas station attendant shouted at him through a megaphone. Paul frantically fumbled through his pockets, but he only had $30 in cash. I'll transfer it online right now. With trembling hands, he opened his banking app. Login. Check balance. Balance. $0. He rubbed his eyes. 0. He opened the transaction history. Withdrawal of $12. Recipient. Maria V. Paul's legs gave out. He collapsed right onto the asphalt of the gas station. At that moment, his phone rang. Mom. Hello. Mom, I'm here at the restaurant. Polly, come immediately. They're going to take me to the police. The card isn't working. Come and pay the bill. Mom, I can't, Paul moaned. What do you mean, you can't? I'm at the gas station myself. I filled up, and I have no money. Maria took all the money from the account. I can't even get my car back. They said if I don't pay, they'll call the police. What? Silence hung in the phone line. Mother and son, in different places, found themselves in the same desperate situation, without money and without a way to leave. At that moment, they realized with horror that the son's and husband's card had always, in fact, been Maria's card. Luxury suite in the hotel. Maria bit into a sandwich, ordered to her room, and watched her laptop screen. In the corner of the screen, notifications from the banking app constantly popped up. 12:45 p.m. Declined. The Gilded Spoon Restaurant. $350. Reason, theft, loss. 1:02 p.m. Declined, gas station. Reason, theft, loss. And on her phone screen, in the folder of blocked messages, the number grew. Husband, 3. Mother-in-law, 7. Sister-in-law, 2. A new message just came in from Sarah. Maria, I'm at the salon, and the card won't go through. I'm lying here with a face mask on. This is so embarrassing. Pick up, Maria chuckled. It was only lunchtime, and already such an uproar. She put her phone on Do Not Disturb mode. The evening would be even more fun. 99 missed calls, that was just the beginning. Maria calmly took a sip of wine and looked out the window. Somewhere down there, they were experiencing their own personal hell. And this was only the start. Did you see that? The moment the payment was declined at the restaurant, my soul rejoiced. Indeed, verbal altercations are nothing compared to blocking cards and accounts. Financial revenge is the best revenge. Those who spent other people's money without a thought now can't even buy themselves lunch. But friends, that's not all. Even harsher reality awaits them tonight. What pathetic excuses hide behind those 99 missed calls? 3 p.m. The Elite Aura Med Spa Cosmetology Clinic on Rodeo Drive. In the VIP waiting area, filled with the aroma of essential oils, Sarah examined her reddened face after her procedures in a mirror. Lifting and laser removal of pigment spots a package worth $15,000. Sarah, did you like the results? Your skin needs special care today, so I'll add our best restorative cream for you. The administrator greeted her with a smile. Sarah, humming, replied, well, not bad, right? And put in the most expensive cream. 2 jars, like last time. Brother's paying anyway. She importantly pulled out Maria's card from her fake Chanel bag. The administrator habitually took the card and inserted it into the terminal. Beep! Transaction declined. Card reported as stolen. The administrator's eyebrow twitched. I apologize, but this card is listed as stolen. What? Again, your machine is acting up? Swipe it again. Sarah waved her hand carelessly. The administrator swiped the card again, but the result was the same. The sharp sound of the terminal broke the silence of the elite clinic. Sarah, the bank has blocked the card. Do you have another method of payment? No. My brother's wife told me to use this card. What a disgrace. Wait, I'll call her right now. Sarah irritably grabbed her phone, but only a mechanical voice sounded in the receiver. The subscriber is temporarily unavailable. Damn, why isn't she answering? The administrator's voice changed 180 degrees. Not a trace of her former politeness remained. Only cold contempt. You won't leave here without payment. The amount is $15,000. Shall I call the police, or will you call someone you know? Police? Are you crazy? Do you know who I am? My brother is a big executive, and his wife is a top manager at an international company. Do I look like someone who would defraud over money? At this moment, yes, the administrator cut her off. Other clients in the lobby began to giggle and whisper. Always throwing her weight around here, she finally got what she deserved. Looks like she was living off someone else. Sarah's face turned crimson, but not from the procedures, but from shame. She tearfully tried to reach her brother, but Paul didn't answer. Her mother didn't either. In the end, leaving her passport and her fake Chanel bag as collateral, she was able to leave the clinic. There wasn't a single penny in cash in her wallet. Not for a taxi, not for a bus. From Rodeo Drive to their condo in the residential area on the outskirts of LA, Sarah trudged, walking on high heels. Just you wait till you come back. I'll give you a piece of my mind. Her shouts dissolved into the city noise. She didn't know yet that this wasn't the end of hell, but merely its beginning. 8 p.m. Darkness reigned in their condo's living room. 3 people sat in silence like ghosts. On the table stood only a glass of unfinished water. Susan, stretched out on the sofa, groaned. Ugh, I'm dying. My stomach's clinging to my spine. She still hasn't come back. Is she waiting for me to starve to death? The day's humiliation at the restaurant had given her a hypertensive crisis. She had to watch her friends chip in to pay the bill, and then listen to sympathetic remarks at parting. Susan, if you're having trouble, you should have just said something. Her pride wasn't just wounded, it was trampled. She desperately waited for the click of the lock, but heard only the rumbling of her own stomach. Brother, look at my feet. I've walked until they're raw. I walked all the way from downtown, and still no word from her, Sarah whined, showing her feet covered in plasters. Paul, huddled in a corner, shook his head. He had only been released from the gas station after leaving his passport as collateral and signing an IOU. His car had to be abandoned there without gas. She's not picking up, and she blocked me on all messengers. Blocked? Susan jumped up. She's completely lost her mind. Polly, quickly order some food. I want the spiciest barbecue. My stomach's twisted from anger. Mom, I don't have any money. What do you mean, no money? You work, you get paid, you don't even have money for food. You got your salary this month, didn't you? Where did you put it? Paul flinched. He knew this conversation was inevitable. Just order it already. Don't drag your feet. Are you going to starve your son? Under his mother's pressure, Paul opened the delivery app with trembling hands. Pork BBQ. Large portion, lamb kebabs. He pressed the pay button. Operation declined. Insufficient funds. He threw his phone to the floor. What did you say? Are you swearing at your mother? Mom, I have no money, not a dime, Paul cried, clutching his head. Silence fell in the living room. Susan and Sarah froze, never having seen Paul in such a state. Why no money? You earn well. You work for a big company, you get bonuses, Susan asked with a trembling voice. Paul, head bowed, laughed hysterically. Big company. He staggered to the dresser, pulled out the folder with the family budget that Maria kept, and threw it on the table. Mom, I lied to you. I don't work for Google. Just an average company, and I'm a permanent senior manager there. What? My salary after taxes is... Shar. Lean. And. End. And this time. In X times of Albany. To 10. 80-eyed. And country. I never won. Ask coveted. In an aster. Expected ofteness. Wentrawaiter 3-1. 8est. Right now, and a valet no. Aidens for the Didens. I have done no. For 40. In Metav Ayers said. Expense today. As a video. Reason and right tenses. And a father way. It's a found happenin' to dated, and one PS ever one timens. Take you half. Action. If you want know how to did. And this tacked. In the Brasden and the Rel. An it. Intend of is and entered is added. Onder is it. In talks to the passes. Half. Everyone again. Viner list has. In televitive Ayers. And about of the tensely in the Nestor. As a menton. Axe list. 12,000 a month. And that. Zafter 10 years of work. Ewen noun san? Susan's eyes almost popped out of her head. Sarah covered her mouth with her hand. Susan began to frantically count on her fingers. Wait, if you get $12,000, how did you give me $4,000 every month? Sarah $3,000, plus utilities for this apartment. Her voice trembled. And your insurance, loans, food, gas. That adds up to more than $30,000 a month. $12,000. Where did the rest of the money come from? Paul raised his bloodshot eyes to his mother. That's why. All of it was Maria's money. Crash! In Susan's mind, an entire world collapsed. What did you say? My card. It was her additional card. This condo is in her name. Sarah's car, the lease. It was all under Maria's name. I was just a figurehead. Maria is a vice president at an international company. Her annual income is 10 times mine. Everything you spent and enjoyed, all of it was earned by Maria. Heavy silence hung in the living room. Susan stared, stunned, at her palm, the very one with which she had struck Maria's face yesterday. So, yesterday I hit. Yes, Mom, you hit the face of our only sponsor. Those $20,000 were just a drop in the ocean. You didn't just kill the goose that laid the golden eggs. You wrung its neck. Paul collapsed to the floor and sobbed. Now everything's over. She withdrew all the money, blocked the cards. We'll just starve to death. Susan clutched her heart. Not a thief bleeding her husband dry, but the de facto head of the family, who for 12 years had silently carried her incompetent son on her shoulders, had been banished by her. Oh my God, what have I done? Susan dissolved into hysterics, but these were not tears of repentance, but of terror at the cut-off money flow. Call her! She sprang up and hit Sarah's back. Call Maria, immediately. Beg, crawl on your knees, make her come back. 10 p.m. The gates of hell opened. At the same time, in the luxury suite of the 5-star hotel, Maria sat on the bed in a bathrobe, sipping wine. Soft jazz played in the room. Her phone vibrated on the coffee table. Mother-in-law. Maria, swirling her glass, looked at the screen. She didn't answer. The vibrations stopped and then immediately started again. Husband, then sister-in-law. Maria put her phone on silent, leaving the screen on. Notifications of missed calls began appearing at a furious pace. 1 missed call. 5 missed calls. 12 missed calls. Maria smirked and opened the message folder. 15. Mother-in-law, you little bitch. Where are you? What's this mess at home? Come back immediately and make dinner. If you come back, I'll break your legs. 2040. Mother-in-law, why aren't you picking up? Do you have no respect for your husband's family? If you don't come back today, it's divorce. Maria snorted. Divorce? I've only dreamed of it. After 10 p.m., presumably after Paul's confession, the tone of the messages changed drastically. 22:30. Husband, darling, pick up. I told Mom everything. She's in shock. I know how hard it's been for you all this time. I'm to blame. 22:45. Husband, Maria, I beg you. We haven't eaten all day. Unblock the card at least, please, just so we can eat. 23:10. Sister-in-law, Maria, I was humiliated at the salon. I left my passport as collateral. You're so cruel. How can you do this to family? Pick up. Maria took a sip of wine and muttered, Family? What family? After midnight. Threats and pleas gave way to desperate pleas. 1:20 a.m. Mother-in-law, daughter, I'm old. I've lost my mind. I didn't know those $20,000 were your money. Polly didn't say anything, so I made a mistake. Please forgive me, daughter. Please answer. Tell me where to come, I'll come. 2 a.m. Husband, darling, I'm dying. Mom's blood pressure is spiking. She's about to faint. Save us, I beg you, answer. I'll beg for forgiveness on my knees. Mother-in-law. Maria, I beg you, save us. They're going to shut off our utilities soon. I'll do anything you say. 4 a.m. On Maria's phone screen, a red number glowed. Missed calls, 99. Mother-in-law, 45. Husband, 33. Sister-in-law, 21. Exactly 99. Maria took a screenshot. These 99 calls and threatening messages would be perfect evidence in court. Funny. Maria placed the empty glass on the table. Have they suffered enough? No, not yet. Hunger and shame are temporary. Tomorrow morning, a much harsher legal reality awaits them. Maria opened her Messenger app and, for the first time in 12 years, wrote in the family chat, which until then had only contained Susan's lectures and Sarah's bragging. Maria K. sent a photo of the cover of a divorce petition. Maria K. sent a photo of a medical report. Soft tissue contusion of the face. Suspected eardrum rupture. Recovery period, 3 weeks. The number 3 next to the unread messages instantly disappeared. Despite it being 4 a.m., everyone was online. Maria delivered the final blow. Maria K. Tomorrow at 9 a.m., open the door. A moving company will arrive. The refrigerator, TV, sofa, bed. Everything that was bought with my card, I'm taking. Whether you live in an empty apartment or not, that's your problem. And don't even think about causing a scene. My lawyer and a police escort will be with me. Pressing send, she saw typing. Statuses flash in the chat. But Maria mercilessly pressed the power button, turning off her phone. The screen went dark, and perfect silence once again reigned in the suite. Good night. In your personal hell. Maria snuggled under the warm blanket. It seemed that for the first time in 12 years, she could sleep peacefully. Can you imagine? A salary of $12,000, but spending over $30,000. What a complete lack of financial literacy. It's impossible to even imagine what the wife felt, betrayed after supporting her husband for so many years. Now they understood that they had killed the goose that laid the golden eggs, but the train had already left the station. 99 calls until 4 a.m. But Maria coldly ignored them, and tomorrow morning she will appear with her lawyer. Don't miss the scene of this family's total annihilation. 9 a.m. The doorbell ripped through the silence. Ding dong. The 3 people, lying on the sofa like corpses, simultaneously jumped up. The last 3 days had been hell for them. The refrigerator was empty. Food delivery was blocked. Not even instant noodles were left. They drank tap water, blaming and cursing each other. It's Maria. Maria's here. Susan jumped up. She smoothed her disheveled hair as best she could and put on a joyful grimace. Polly, quickly clean yourself up. Sarah, you too. We need to look pathetic, but greet her cheerfully. Got it, Mom? But I'm so hungry. Maybe we should ask her to bring some food first? Are you crazy? First, we need to butter her up so she unblocks the cards. Susan, clutching her wildly pounding heart, rushed to the door. The lock clicked. The heavy door opened, and with the bright morning light, someone entered the apartment. Susan, even before the door fully opened, stretched her lips into a smile and shouted in an exaggeratedly affectionate voice, "Oh, my darling daughter. Where have you been? Mommy was so worried. Have you eaten anywhere?" She spread her arms to hug her daughter-in-law. The very hands that had slapped her 3 days ago, but her arms embraced only emptiness. "Step aside," a cold voice said. It was Maria, but not the same daughter-in-law from 3 days ago. A perfectly tailored dark blue business suit, hair neatly styled, and a bruise on her left cheek, which she hadn't even tried to conceal. She exuded an untouchable status and icy coldness. Behind her stood a man with sharp eyes and a briefcase in his hands. It was her lawyer, Mr. Thompson. "Who's that?" Paul asked, getting up. Maria, not deigning to answer him, walked into the living room. Click, clack. The sound of her heels counted the last moments of this family's life. She sat in the corner chair, in the very spot where Susan usually sat, issuing orders. She nodded towards the chairs opposite. "Sit down." "What? No, Maria, what's happening? And who is this man?" Susan, looking around, sat opposite. Paul and Sarah also hesitantly moved towards the table. Their pathetic appearance sharply contrasted with Maria's image, straight out of a magazine cover. Susan tried to lighten the mood, forcing a smile. "Maria, I've been thinking, what happened in the parking garage?" I, of course, went too far. "I'm getting old, losing my mind. I love you so much. How could I possibly hit you out of malice? It was a disciplinary measure. You know a mother's heart." "Yes, darling," Paul chimed in. "Mom sees you as her own daughter." So she overdid it with the discipline. "I've realized everything too. We're family. Let's unblock the cards first, and then we'll talk. We haven't eaten in 3 days." Maria watched this disgusting spectacle with an inscrutable face. Only a slight sneer of contempt touched the corners of her lips. Disciplinary measure. Her gaze fixed on Susan. To discipline an adult, someone else's daughter? Sweet. "I didn't mean that. Thompson, begin." Maria turned away, unwilling to listen to this nonsense any longer. The lawyer opened his briefcase and placed a tablet on the table. "Good day, I'm Mr. Thompson, attorney at law, of Law and Justice Legal Firm. I represent the interests of Maria V." His dry voice echoed through the living room. He turned the tablet screen towards Susan and Paul. "Case number 2024-GXX. Petition for dissolution of marriage and claim for emotional distress damages. Case number 2024. UK 20. Statement for initiation of a criminal case for assault and battery and defamation." Susan's eyes trembled. "Divorce? Criminal case? Mr. Thompson, what does this mean? To involve the police over a common family argument?" "This was not an argument," Thompson cut her off. He switched the screen, showing the medical report. Soft tissue contusion of the face with a 3-week recovery period. Suspected eardrum rupture. This is clear infliction of bodily harm. Furthermore, it all happened in a public place, in a parking garage, with witnesses, and with derogatory insults like thief. We already have video footage from surveillance cameras. This was not a disciplinary measure, but intentional bodily harm. If there is no settlement between the parties, you face actual jail time. Jail time? Prison? Me? In prison? Susan turned pale and grabbed Paul. "Polly, what is he saying? Your wife wants to put me in prison. Tell her something." Paul looked at Maria, trembling. "Darling, this is too much. That's my mother." "Prison? I'm to blame. I'll pay everything back. I swear, I'll work day and night, but I'll return everything." "Return it?" Maria spoke for the first time. She picked up a large paper bag from the floor and emptied its contents onto the table. A mountain of papers, Excel printouts, and a stack of receipts tumbled onto the table. "What is this?" Sarah asked nervously. "Paul, You said you'd return it. Well, go on, return it. Maria tapped a finger on the summary table lying on top. Susan, you were so upset about the $20,000 I gave Mom. You called me a thief. Maria's voice grew sharper. For the past 12 years, out of Paul's $12,000 salary, you received $4,000, and Sarah received $3,000. After that, only $5,000 remained from his salary. And for our lifestyle, to maintain your image, more than $30,000 a month was spent. Maria pushed the summary report right under Susan's nose. Total, $1,538,000. This is the amount you bled me for over 12 years. $1.5 million. Susan's jaw dropped. Your massage chair, $10,000. Orthopedic mattress, $20,000. Money for your trips with friends, $50,000. Money Sarah took for plastic surgery, $100,000. Money Paul lost in the stock market, $200,000. Did you think I wasn't keeping records? Maria gave a cold chuckle. How did you use money obtained from a thief? Paul, you said you'd return it. With a $12,000 salary, it would take you 20 years to return this if you stopped eating and breathing. Return it right now, and I'll withdraw the complaint. Paul merely opened and closed his mouth soundlessly. With a zero balance, $1.5 million was an insurmountable sum for him. Why are you counting like a stranger? We're family, Susan muttered. Family? Maria slammed her fist on the table. Bam! I endured because I considered you family. To save my husband's reputation, to respect my mother-in-law, I concealed my income and lived like a fool. And what did I get in return? A slap in the face and branded a thief. Fury flashed in Maria's eyes. Thompson, continue. Paul K. is being presented with a petition for dissolution of marriage due to his fault, the lawyer continued. Economic incompetence, abandonment of his spouse in danger, and aiding in humiliation by close relatives. Emotional distress damages, $500,000. And most importantly, asset division. All three pricked up their ears. They firmly believed that in a divorce, the husband was entitled to half. There will be no asset division. How can there be no division? We lived together for 12 years, Susan shrieked. The lawyer, adjusting his glasses, smirked. There is such a concept as contribution to the marital estate. This condo, furniture, appliances, cars, everything was acquired with Maria V's funds. Paul K. salary did not cover even 30% of joint expenses. On the contrary, he contributed to the dissipation of her assets. The court, assessing his contribution, will determine it as negative. So it is you who will most likely have to share his debts. His debts? Paul's face turned ashen. Oh, yes. You do have one asset in your name. Maria showed her phone screen. A personal loan for $300,000. That's yours. All this time, I paid the interest and extended it using my credit history. Maria smiled cruelly. As of yesterday, I stopped paying interest and withdrew my co-signer status. Soon you'll get a call from the bank. They'll demand immediate repayment of the entire amount. If you can't pay it back, you'll be bankrupt. Congratulations, Paul. Paul collapsed into his chair. A $300,000 debt, bankrupt status, and the prospect of being left on the street. At that moment, Sarah interrupted the conversation. Maria, sister-in-law. Well, with brother and mom, it's understandable. But my car, it's leased. I drove it. Maybe you'll leave it for me? I can't meet my friends without it. Even in such a situation, she only cared about the car. Maria laughed in surprise. I'll leave it. Maria pointed to the Chanel bag Sarah was clutching. You're keeping your bag safe, even wearing it at home. Well, yes. You gave it to me for my last birthday. A classic Chanel. It's worth a fortune now. Of course, I'm keeping it safe. Sarah lovingly stroked the bag, apparently considering it her only remaining treasure. Maria slowly approached her and whispered in her ear, It's a fake. What? Sarah's pupils dilated. A fake. Bought at a flea market for $1,000. Did you think I'd gone mad to give you a bag worth tens of thousands? Your status matches exactly this kind. And you believed it and boasted to everyone? Lies. There was a certificate. A certificate? They'll print you one for $50. Sarah's face turned crimson. You know, Sarah, the administrators at your salon and the salespeople at Saks Fifth Avenue all understood immediately. Can you imagine how they laughed behind your back when you proudly flaunted that fake and said, "My sister-in-law gave it to me"? Oh, here she comes again with her knockoff. Sarah gasped for breath. Her entire life for the past year flashed before her eyes. Meetings with friends, shopping trips, salons, and everywhere she proudly displayed this bag. The realization that the smiles of those around her were not envy but mockery shattered her world. "Ah! Ah!" Sarah shrieked, throwing the bag to the floor. "It's a lie. You're lying to hurt me. Ah! Ah! Don't believe it? Go get an appraisal. The shame will be yours." Maria turned away. There was nothing more to do here. So, now that everyone understands, let's summarize. Maria surveyed the living room. The sofa she chose, the curtains she bought. I won't demand that you move out immediately. You can live here until the court's decision. A flicker of relief crossed Susan's face, but Maria's next words crushed that hope. But tomorrow at 9 a.m., the moving company will arrive. The refrigerator, TV, sofa, bed, curtains, blinds, even the spoons. I'm taking everything. These are all my belongings, bought with my card. What? How are we going to live? I don't know. Sleep on the floor. Cover yourselves with newspapers. The electricity and water, which are in my name, I'm shutting off today. Live harmoniously in your concrete box. Maria walked towards the exit without looking back. Oh, yes. She stopped, putting on her shoes. Tomorrow, my lawyer and the police will be with the movers. If you try to interfere or damage property, I'll add a couple more criminal charges. Maria, wait, let's talk. Susan crawled after her, but Maria mercilessly opened the door. Goodbye. Forever. Slam. The heavy metal door shut. In the living room remained only a pile of receipts for $1.5 million and 3 people with shattered psyches. Mom, what do we do now? $300,000 in debt, bankruptcy, and an empty condo, Paul whispered. Susan, instead of answering, stared blankly at the receipts scattered on the floor. Oh my God, what have I done? I killed the golden goose with my own hands. Her belated sobs echoed through the empty apartment, but the train had already left. Moreover, the bridge they stood on was burned. Didn't the $1.5 million in receipts give you chills? And the fact that the Chanel bag turned out to be fake? Now that's real revenge and a legendary story of family conflict. If you don't agree, give back the money, but they don't have a dime. But the worst is yet to come. What will happen to this condo when even the spoons are taken out? The next day, 9 a.m., exactly at the appointed time, whir. The sharp sound of electric drills shook the apartment. 4 strong movers, like a SWAT team, took over the living room. All right, pack the 8.5-inch TV. Wrap the sofa in film so the leather doesn't get scratched. No, my TV, my sofa. Susan, hugging the TV, rolled on the floor. Her hair was disheveled, her eyes red. She hadn't slept all night. Lady, step aside. We've been told to call the police if you interfere, one of the movers said dryly, pushing her aside. It costs so much. I watch my shows on it. Maria, Maria, are you even human? Susan's cry echoed through the apartment, but Maria, standing in the doorway with her arms crossed, didn't even flinch. Beside her, like a bodyguard, stood Mr. Thompson, and behind him, 2 police officers. Watch your words. Susan, Maria replied coldly. I'm doing this not because I'm not human, but because I was treated inhumanly. I showed you all the receipts yesterday. In this apartment, the only things that are yours are 2 dried-up plants on the balcony. Maria, please, leave at least the bed. My back hurts. Sarah crawled out of the empty bedroom and clung to Maria's pants. Her face was streaked with tears and snot. Your back hurts? Sleep on the floor. It's good for your spine. Oh, yes, Sarah. Maria pushed her hand away with the toe of her shoe. Don't forget your fake bag. You were going to get it appraised, weren't you? Sarah's face darkened. Last night, she had tried to sell the bag on Craigslist, but after comments calling it a cheap knockoff, she had to delete the listing. Ooh, you're so mean, Sarah sobbed, pounding her fists on the floor. But the movers were merciless. The table, chairs, curtains, blinds, even the bidet in the bathroom, everything was dismantled. When the refrigerator was carried out, a mountain of dust and dead insects was revealed behind it. It was like seeing the true face of this family. Paul, Maria called her husband, who was sitting in the corner, clutching his knees. When everything is moved out, the water and electricity will be disconnected. I've also disconnected the gas. You won't be able to stay here tonight. So pack your things and leave. Although, what's there to pack? A couple of shirts. Paul lifted his head. His gaze was empty. In one night, he had aged 10 years. Maria, did it have to come to this? If I go bankrupt, I'll be fired from my job. If collectors start calling the office, I'm finished. You should have thought of that sooner. And your $300,000 debt is not my problem. What did you spend it on? Entertainment or the stock market? That's your debt. Maria coldly turned away. Foreman, you can leave the trash. They'll clean it up themselves. And if they don't clean up and move out, I'll charge them a cleaning fee. An hour later, the 3-bedroom condo was absolutely empty. The cold of the concrete floor filled the space. Only Susan, Paul, Sarah, and a few bundles of their clothes remained. Ooh! Susan's sobs were the only sound in the empty apartment. It was a funeral dirge for a crumbled family. A week later, the conciliation room in the city court. The atmosphere was tense. On Maria's side were Mr. Thompson and a mountain of documents. Paul was alone. He had no money for a lawyer. Paul K., let's make a deal. Thompson handed him the documents. Paul scanned them and couldn't believe his eyes. What is this? We are withdrawing the claim for $500,000 in emotional distress damages. We will not demand asset division. Moreover, we will not file a claim for the return of Wu explants. And it does it. Experiment is this. 80 this one. Dared. Ada goes to us. And it every one. It's a friend play. 235. It is not occasions of the telb. Actual partigly round. Tech is opras. Actions of happens helfied. 1817. Wrecked. And the 3. What did staff to 8? One a dac. It's time to 17us. Axid. In start take. I was 2-1 trash. Time. Honestan. A comet. And also. F. On an iterated. An ettery. Into the rest. Apps of the first did. And examples. End quote. 18. Is. Axon asked. Without paranast. And piece of a. As espact. At a vetted. Inter 5. 8. It's delated. It's those. At no fe. If RT. 1877. 18. Acts of admittis. It's bring that man. Explain it. App in a start. Anista. It's clies. It is next. Apps of isn't it. Radited infrest. It's might is foreign. Ingraded. It's tyria. Ender the table. Action. Night. Tennywise. And avite endless. Ix. Died. Ast. Rumun. Ax. 18. IFS day. And it started. And. And everybody won. 10 and as a friends. Rald bitted it. Anway. 18. End of the sought. Intour. H not away. It's not workin'. 8. Tense. Tense braided. Asks Blan. Olive enter. Actually parroted. In the canted. And in a docode. In other main. Apter. And haster ablated. And azur volity. And 8 ever. Axstein. Did. And expantered. As man. Tens after way. Inimaticasted. Exampled. Is laughterinization. It's the 7-time definite camenis. It's the rebus. Inditions. Enbertens. After instated. He. And other 9 it has. Is one of the most in the dactivisions. Actions. I don't. And an after ADO. Internide. Internide and denied in rage. and this whaleboat, 2 fiver, and a stopped in to stir. Ass. Die. It's the revers the 60 heart, and this fam, in the stervetti, in the setted, and there's not of bliss, is minestens, in the present, now, it's not pant, it's sond of the vensted, in the stan, asin, it's 7, 8 is stain shopsard, 8er, is the right at do, every 10, it's not a because, 2 arteen, actual finidist, in the 70 friends, in their never wonding, Adavedas, as appealed half to the Tannels commons. It's to commonly, and evac, it's X time in ration, in the next time. It's not revided. And also, thanks for watching. Everyone, actually, action turns of hair, expect of the ben, and before in the say after, 10 shay, act, rever plays in the mosent, excepenter, no asker and after one, as remind, and in white, adavict, asamon, action, explanded, actions the 7th, and this hafted, renting the ravent, absible, of the res, actor Dan, experience, actions, intuition, on the plater, half, donna monet, ats is a ventar, and a spaced other working, inditionance of a sided, s, every pointant, a plus common, and 2017, affin azer botter, and helper play, it's didio, 8, all the zentiltamen, it minus, and the 7 ported, it's coming down, excited, and emascal tact, go bid as physician, don rated, it's not less very 3-7, read it, I'm dact, is not ready 7, as affected buddy 3-1, 18 every 4 pressed, 18 5 hine, ATA, everyone, H everyone, excepend, and also, enter the contectivality, this monet rage, 9, ass, the contradid ass, in the taxes now there ever 3, in inister, in the modables 5 the state, and the modable profit, when tited, I'm rest, ATNs, and describe, in the vetter one, it's neverbody know, it's the Beck 10, in taxed, and are off and on is, in his love, and a very teen. It's not of na, 18, a time tense dotted into staying. Act doesn't think the dime. There's the Fallon Bilers. Infacted of Istablin. Actor stand. Actually's died. Action. Actions and res. And Helder. Action. Actualtian. Regidus. Actually read it. In Wells. It's the problem. Resaid. Action body. At's about. It's a predicated. It's not workin'. Ingrest. Access. In disbrand rail. And of there. And this too are rien. And that stated. Right mind. It's the panific stand of the passe. And has another 9. And a spotic. And to 0 in the spaced. Look avound. Adient. Adient. It's not a vader. Done rightening. It's the mother tame. And that. Just a video. Anda. Addis. Axidus. Adder. It's about king. It's not way. It's other way. He has passed. It's describe it. It's the rangder. It's dinanacheesend. And in 20 timely witherhing. Action timen. It is bection. 82 on breast. 8 even. Action road. And about. It stid. And factivisus. Absible. In the stated. I weigh. Visit loft with. In the sun's first odd. Aper. Ephris. Affagresses. Action. To private as now as act. It's the same ling actually said. Acts of lited. I have to dated. In the modit. I'm day. And to started. Anyone occasions. Explend. Don't find it. It's tonovate. And tuez. It's not redidus. And absterd. 1. Desed. Expect. Plas 2 grest. Actuals coming this. I ev again it. A better percentated wave. And well. It's things for watching. Anyway. Aid. And itam. Tectivality. I weigh. Dac together. Anyone. Action. 18. In -2 bread. It's not commoning. If you day oncest. I weigh.com. Action with Dillard. Aspiring. Indifferent. To exit. Right motorizing. I wave V. It's just another. Action tansited. Apsis. Out of Howers. Out of Mervyn telled it. 8. And. Actioned. This was matter way does not time. Actively. Inexperiate. In the braid and aldit. Af response take rie. One at a stand. Tix very teen. Added in the techness is where. Axiplay. It's not a stance. H related. In fact, the first it ever one, donator. Actually one. Aver one. Acher. Andidation. Act. It's not redder. After hour. 1. Explerned minus 2 men. Insetted options. Every one to. I half. And for actual fand, it's mind. In Nez. It's not of the day. In minus Gratian. And of est. 2011. And this faced given reddited. 8. Thanks for watching. Any alpha. 80. And the skididus. It's coming something experience. Tenbert. Audiblitz. Datadus finder stands. It is not missend. Expeering of the workday. Cara. Appen. It is Ephris. Disness. And remember, in 4525. Is the rect. End to the vated. Advanisted. S. Over one. An int era. An example. Enderstem. Antivation. Olibin tenture. Additering. And Talbot. A. Anamamen. Eins. 5 million. And Willow dropped the criminal case. Paul. Size widened. Hope glimmered Thatha could avoid the debt trap. Really, Maria? Do you really forgive me? He looked Tathas wife with gratitude. But Maria. S. gaze was colder than looking at trash. Edon. T. forgive. I. Anastation. Making a deal. A deal? Spending my time in court proceedings with such a worthless personas used to expensive forme. My hourly rate is more than your monthly salary. Maria crossed her arms. 1.5 million. Consider it charity I bestowed upon you. In return, one condition. As soon as you sign, you will disappear from my life forever. If we meet on the street, don't greet me. Don't even send me news of your death. Just vanish. That's my condition. Paul froze. For her? $1. 5 million was just the price to sever all ties with him. The realization of his utter insignificance was painful, but it was better than a debt trap. I agree. With a trembling hand, he signed. 12 years of marriage, 12 years of lies and deceit, ended with a single stroke of a pen. Maria removed her sunglasses and looked him straight in the eyes. You know, Paul, I didn't marry you for love either. I just needed the image of a complete family, and I tried to insert a defective component like you into it. Now that I've torn apart that image, I feel immense relief. She stood up. Live well. Though, I doubt you will. She left the room without looking back. Click, clack. Her steps were lighter than ever. A year later. Spring. A dingy studio apartment in the Bronx. A room without a window. No deposit. $1,000 a month. In the tiny cubicle, smelling of instant noodles and mold, Paul lay. He looked at his phone screen, at the falling stock charts. Damn. Down again. Ding dong. The collectors were calling. He never paid back the $300,000 loan, becoming bankrupt. And after his salary was garnished, he was asked to resign. Hello? Yes. I'm sorry. I'll pick up a side job in a few days. I'll transfer it right away. I swear. He obsequiously ended the conversation and poured boiling water over his noodles. He remembered the 5-course dinners Maria used to prepare. Back then, he thought he was a king, but he only realized Maria had placed the crown on him after it was ripped off and he was thrown into the dirt. At the same time, a damp basement apartment in a suburb of New Jersey. Here lived Susan and Sarah. Sarah, are you on your phone again? We ran out of rice, Susan shouted. She was over 70, but her anger had only grown. No one liked her at the local senior club either. Hold on, someone's texting me, Sarah shouted back. Beside her lay her worn-out fake Chanel bag. Her phone screen showed the Facebook Marketplace app. Selling Chanel bag. Luxury replica. Excellent quality. Urgent. $150. Mom, they're texting. Some lady wants it for 100. Are you crazy? Take at least 150. We need to buy rice. Sell it immediately. All right. I'll just write that shipping is at her expense. Sarah grabbed the bag and ran outside. Once, she had carelessly thrown her sister-in-law's card at the cashier, buying out boutiques, and now she haggled for every penny, selling a fake. Susan watched the closed door and beat her chest. Oh my God, what have I done? I killed the golden goose with my own hands. A travel show was on TV. The Azure Mediterranean Sea. Ugh! Only spoils my appetite. She irritably changed the channel. At the very same time, the Mediterranean Sea, off the coast of Italy, VIP deck of the MSC Grandiosa cruise liner. Maria lay on a lounge chair under the warm sun. Wearing sunglasses, she looked at the emerald sea and sipped champagne. In the past year, she had soared. After the divorce, her career took off. She became the director for the Asia-Pacific region, and her annual income exceeded $3 million. Maria, look, how beautiful. The water is like paint. Her mother, Linda, in a bright floral dress, ran up to her. Mom, be careful, don't fall. Fall? I'm about to fly from happiness. This liner is bigger than a skyscraper. I never thought I'd live to see such luxury. Mom, do you know how much this trip cost? How much? Probably expensive. 100,000? Maria chuckled. $300,000. We have a luxury suite. What? 300,000? Are you insane? You should have just given me the money. Linda threw up her hands, but couldn't hide her smile. Mom, don't economize. Before, I gave you $20,000 and I was called a thief. Now I can spend $300,000 and no one says a word. This is my opportunity, and this is my money. Mother and daughter looked at each other and laughed happily. It was the laugh of true liberation. At that moment, Maria's phone vibrated on the table. She lazily picked it up. An unknown number flashed on the screen, most likely from the US. Instead of answering, Maria opened the folder of blocked messages. There was one new message, just received, from Susan, blocked. Maria, it's me, your mother. I know I have no right, but Paulie is starving. He's about to be evicted from his room. We can't pay anything. Please send at least $500. I beg you. Maria smirked. Betsto. She swirled the crystal champagne glass in her hand. How unfortunate. I'm on a $300,000 cruise, drinking $500 champagne, and I really don't have time to send you $500. She unhesitatingly pressed block permanently and delete. Click. This was the end. The dirty past sank into the deep waters of the Mediterranean Sea. Maria, looking at the horizon, whispered to herself, those who parasitize you in the name of family, they are not family, but parasites. She adjusted her sunglasses and took another sip of champagne. Against parasites, the best remedy is cutting off their funding, isn't it? As if in response to her question, the powerful horn of the cruise liner echoed over the Mediterranean. Toot! The weather was perfect, and it was the perfect beginning to a new life. A cruise for $300,000. What a perfect ending. This was the story of Maria, who almost became a victim of parasites, but thanks to harsh financial therapy, found true spring in her life. Blocking a message, begging for $500, and drinking champagne. What could be better? Let's wish Maria and her mother a happy future in the comments. Your support is very important.